What if I told you there's a silent sabotage happening in your pocket right now? One that's draining your ability to get rich without you realizing it. If you feel that your willpower is constantly being drained by notifications, you've discovered the true enemy of success. Today, I'm going to reveal how a 7-day dopamine detox can completely transform your willpower, using principles that Napoleon Hill discovered almost a century ago, long before the digital age existed. I know how frustrating it is when you set important goals in the morning, but by noon you've already lost focus due to constant interruptions from your phone. This is exactly what's blocking you from applying the powerful principles that Hill taught in Think and Grow Rich. In this video, I'm going to reveal the exact 7-day protocol that will restore 90% of your focus capacity and allow you to finally implement Napoleon Hill's 13 billionaire principles, the same system I use to help over 10,000 people multiply their results. After helping more than 10,000 people apply Hill's methods in the digital age, I discovered something that NIH neuroscientists confirmed in 2025. The same brain circuits that Hill identified are being sabotaged by digital dopamine. By the end of these 7 days, you'll experience the same mental clarity that Carnegie, Edison, and Ford had, that ability to focus for hours without distractions that made them billionaires. Let's dive straight into the first principle that Hill discovered and that modern science has finally proven, and how to apply it even with your brain being bombarded by notifications. But what did they know that we've forgotten? In 2025, NIH research finally scientifically validated Napoleon Hill's concept of definite major purpose. Intro end. Intro end, neuroscientists have discovered that when you have a clearly defined goal, your brain activates the same dopamine circuits that Hill observed in Carnegie, Edison, and Ford. The difference is that these success giants didn't have smartphones competing for their attention. Modern neuroscience proves that Hill was right. Your brain can't distinguish between visualizing success and actually achieving it. When you break your goals into smaller milestones, exactly as Hill recommended, you create a natural dopamine reinforcement system. But here's the problem. While Hill had complete access to this brain system, we're constantly interrupting these circuits with digital stimuli. The brain can literally be trained for excellence, but only when it's not being bombarded by notifications every few minutes. Hill discovered this instinctively. Now science confirms his methods. But there's a problem that neither Hill nor his contemporaries faced, an obstacle that didn't exist in their era. Let's examine exactly how the modern problem is sabotaging Hill's principles. But here's what's really going to shock you about this. What Hill called mastermind, that harmonious collaboration between minds, has been replaced by a corrupted version, social media. But here's the crucial difference. Social media creates addiction disguised as networking. Your brain is being trained by the same mechanism as gambling, what scientists call variable ratio reinforcement. Every time you check your phone, there's a small chance of receiving that pleasurable notification. This is exactly how slot machines work. Napoleon Hill spoke about developing a success consciousness versus a failure consciousness. The problem is that every notification on your phone is training your brain to abandon long-term goals in favor of instant gratification. The problem is that every notification on your phone is training your brain to abandon long-term goals in favor of instant gratification. Hill studied men like Rockefeller and Carnegie who spent hours in silent strategic planning. They developed what Hill called access to infinite intelligence, those moments of mental clarity where brilliant solutions emerge. But how can you access that mental clarity when, just wait for this, you're interrupted by notifications every 11 minutes on average? Every digital interruption trains your brain to give up on anything that requires sustained mental effort. You might be wondering, but what if I simply use more willpower to resist? This is exactly the question we need to answer. Here's why methods based solely on willpower fail, but Hill's system works differently. 2025 neuroscience has confirmed something Hill observed nearly a century ago. Willpower is a finite resource that gets depleted under stress. Now, here's the part that changes everything completely. Hill had an advantage. He created automatic habit systems that completely bypassed the need for willpower. Let me tell you a story that will make this crystal clear. Thomas Edison worked 16 hours a day, but never felt exhausted. Why? He didn't rely on willpower. He created an automatic system. When he arrived at the laboratory at 6 a.m., he didn't think, "Today I'm going to work hard." He simply followed an automatic sequence of actions he had programmed into his brain. First, he reviewed his notes from the previous day. Then he defined 3 specific experiments. Then he started working. No decisions, no willpower, just automatic habits. Here's what Hill discovered decades before neuroscience existed. There are 2 learning systems in your brain: the reward-based system, driven by dopamine, and the repetition-based system. And here's the surprising fact that most people don't realize. 45% of your daily actions are habits, not conscious decisions. Hill knew this instinctively, and that's why his daily methods targeted both systems simultaneously. When you practice autosuggestion in the morning, you're not just setting intentions, you're programming your automatic success circuits. The genius of Hill's method is that it removes the need for willpower by creating automatic momentum. But this only works when your brain isn't constantly being reprogrammed by digital distractions. Now that you completely understand both the problem and the science behind the solution, let's get to what really matters: the practical protocol that will restore your mental capacity. Now comes the part that will change everything for you: a 7-day protocol to reset your dopamine receptors and restore your ability to find satisfaction in what Hill called meaningful work. Your brain works like sugar tolerance. Imagine you eat candy every day. After a while, you need more and more sugar to feel the same pleasure. The same thing happens with phone notifications. Here's a simple test that will prove this. Take your phone right now and count how many notifications you have. Einde, 15, Einbadu. Each of these notifications is like a small dose of mental sugar. Your brain is literally addicted to interruptions. Now imagine Edison trying to invent the light bulb being interrupted every 11 minutes by someone knocking on the laboratory door. Impossible, right? Hill discovered that interruptions are the #1 killer of what he called organized planning. And here's the number that will shock you. Digital interruptions reduce productivity by 40%, making Hill's methods virtually impossible to implement. Let me reveal exactly how this works, step by step. Let me reveal exactly how this works, step by step. Days 1 and 2. From digital addiction to crystal clear mental clarity, total digital elimination of entertainment combined with clarification of your major definite purpose. No social media, no streaming, no random internet browsing. Use this time to define with crystal clarity what your main life goal is. Days 3 and 4. Introduce Hill's autosuggestion practices along with conscious information consumption. Only information that directly serves your main objective. Hill taught that your subconscious mind absorbs everything. Protect it like a treasure. It may seem extreme, but remember, you're not depriving yourself of anything important. You're recovering something you lost: your natural ability to focus. Carnegie didn't need to fight against notifications to make billion-dollar decisions. You'll experience that same mental clarity that the giants of the past had as their standard. Days 5 and 6. Intensive strategic planning using Hill's organized knowledge method. Dedicate at least 2 hours daily to silent planning without interruptions. This is where you'll experience what Hill called access to infinite intelligence. Day 7. Complete integration and preparation to form your own mastermind group, but this time with real people, not superficial digital connections. Imagine how Carnegie felt during his 2 hours of daily silent planning. Are you ready to experience that same clarity? This protocol isn't just about deprivation. It's about returning to the neurological conditions that allowed Hill's students to achieve extraordinary results. But the 7-day protocol is just the beginning of your transformation. What happens next is where the true magic of Hill's methods reveals itself. But here's where it gets even more powerful. After 7 days, you'll tap into what Hill called infinite intelligence. Carnegie would meet weekly with his inner circle in complete silence for 2 hours. No papers, no notes, just minds focused on one problem. That's how he developed the strategies that built his steel empire. Want to know the difference between you and Carnegie? It's not intelligence, it's not luck. It's that Carnegie could spend 2 hours in complete silence thinking about one problem. Can you go even 2 minutes without checking your phone? That's the difference between building an empire and being controlled by notifications. The problem is that this third mind is completely destroyed by modern digital bombardment. When your brain is constantly processing notifications, emails, and random information, you lose access to that superior mental state that Hill described. Information overload creates a state of chronic stress that literally shuts down your creative thinking. Hill observed that his greatest insights came in moments of silent reflection without information consumption. Carnegie, for example, spent hours every day in silent contemplation. Now, let me share something that will leave you amazed. An executive from Sao Paulo wrote to me, "After 3 days of the detox, I had the best idea of my career during my morning shower. It was a solution I had been searching for months. This isn't coincidence. It's exactly what Hill called access to infinite intelligence, that mental state where the best solutions appear naturally." And here's the result that will completely blow your mind. People who complete this 7-day detox consistently report supercharged mental clarity, improved mood, explosive creativity. It's not magic. It's returning to the natural neurological conditions that Hill observed in all his success case studies. Imagine having the same mental clarity that Carnegie's inner circle had. When you remove the digital noise, your mind naturally gravitates toward important problems and creative solutions. It's exactly how Edison developed his 1,093 patents. Mental calm is not a luxury. It's a prerequisite for accessing the infinite intelligence that Hill documented in hundreds of success cases. Now you have a complete vision. You know both the problem and the possible transformation. With this knowledge, a crucial question arises that determines your future. How are you going to start? As I promised at the beginning of this video, you now have the complete 7-day protocol that will restore your willpower and allow you to apply Napoleon Hill's principles effectively. You've discovered why your smartphone is sabotaging your mental capacity, how neuroscience confirms Hill's methods, and most importantly, you now have the exact path to reverse this. Imagine sitting next to Carnegie in his strategic planning meetings, or accompanying Edison during his 16 hours of daily total focus. This isn't fantasy. It's exactly what you'll experience when your mind isn't being bombarded by digital stimuli. In 7 days, you'll rediscover the same mental clarity that built the greatest empires in history. The protocol you just learned isn't just theory. It's the same mental process that allowed Carnegie, Edison, and Ford to achieve extraordinary results. The difference is that now you have the advantage of modern neuroscience to accelerate these results. But here's the truth that few will tell you. Every notification you receive today is literally rewiring your brain for failure. While you're reading this, algorithms are competing for your attention, and they're winning. Each day that passes without making this decision, you're strengthening the same patterns that keep 90% of people trapped in mediocrity. Carnegie made his decision in a moment. Edison made his decision in a moment. Now, here's exactly what you need to do in the next 24 hours. Eliminate all digital entertainment for 24 hours. Just that. Tomorrow morning, take a piece of paper and write your definite chief aim using exactly the words Hill recommended. Specific, measurable, with a defined deadline. Then, during the next 7 days, apply one of Hill's principles using your enhanced focus capacity. You'll be surprised by the difference a mind not bombarded by distractions can make. Now it's your turn to make the decision that can transform everything. Don't put off until tomorrow what you can start today. Pick up your smartphone right now, turn on airplane mode for 24 hours, and write down on paper your definite chief aim using Hill's exact words, specific, measurable, with a defined deadline. If you do this today, in 7 days, you'll have the same mental clarity that Carnegie used to build his empire. If you're truly committed to recovering your mental strength, do this now. Comment below, "I accept the challenge," and write your definite chief aim. I want to see at least 100 people making this decision today. I'll personally respond to the first 50 comments to make sure you're on the right track. This isn't just a video, it's the beginning of your real transformation.